Hey, thanks for joining us for this week's Stubby episode of the Welding Tips and Tricks podcast. For this week's question, Jonathan Lewis is going to be reading and answering. But before we jump into that, we really want to thank CK Worldwide for sponsoring this Stubby episode. Be sure to head over to ckworldwide.com and check out all the great TIG torches and information they have available for this awesome community. Now, get on with this week's question.
Hey, this is Jonathan Lewis. For today's question, I found it, myself anyway, very interesting. It reads, in my welding class, I am not one of the better welders, and at times, I really struggle. It seems to come easy to other students, but I am thinking of quitting. I chose this question because I actually found myself in the same, not necessarily wanting to quit, but I definitely at one point in time thought that maybe this wasn't for me. I remember when I was in school, and I only ever took a 40-hour stick welding course, I struggled for a long time at the beginning. And I'm not saying I'm the best now, but at the time, probably, 6 or 12 students, something like that, in the class at night. I definitely was not one of the better students. And so I would look at other people's beads and I'd be like, yeah, I've got a long way to go. And, I learned right away why they call it stick welding. Seems like every time I went to strike an arc, it would stick. And again, I think you can get yourself down by comparing yourself to others, and it really hurts your morale. It really helps, or it does not help, I should say, your desire to stay in the welding class. My guess would be if you're listening to this Stubby episode, that's probably not you. You're probably all in like all the rest of us, and you're probably not going to quit. But I think from time to time, all of us, get that word quit in the back of our mind. We kind of just got to push it aside and put it back into a box. If you're not one of the better welders out there, that doesn't mean it's the end of the world, honestly. I've seen a lot of people start at the bottom, including myself, and then they eventually, it might take 6 days, 6 months, 6 years, they get to be rock stars, so to speak. Not that I'm a rock star, no, mind you. But, you get people that can just really lay down, dimes with the TIG and really stick weld uphill, really, really good. And MIG weld just, looks really, really good. But at one point in time, they may not have thought that. They would look at their welds or they'd look, compare themselves to others and think, I'm not doing really good. I'm definitely not one of the better welders and I'm definitely struggling. Maybe this isn't for me. I also want to throw out there, though, in this, that welding is not for everybody, though. Just because you wanted to take the class or your friends are doing it or it's cool, doesn't necessarily mean that everybody is going to be a welder or has the eye to be a welder. I have also seen a few that just couldn't get it. It just didn't click. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just welding's not for you. You move on to the next thing. But I would hope that you wouldn't just, casually be like, oh, well, this isn't for me and just move on after the first, fail, so to speak. That you really would put some effort into it. And I'm guessing that the person that asked this question is trying their best. They're really struggling at it and they're doing their best. And they just get that word quit pop into their mind. And I think that they just need to push it aside, And it will come easily to other students. In fact, it won't just only come easily to other students. It'll come easy to your coworkers as well. I mean, they're going to be people you work with that are going to blow you out of the water. There's people that I've worked with that are 10 times better than me. I mean, if you ever tried to weld beside Roy Crumrine, embarrassing for me anyway. So there's going to be those opportunities and times that you're going to sit beside somebody and they're going to do better than you. I would advise you take those opportunities in school or in a workplace environment and try to learn from them so that you can become one of the better welders, so that you can not struggle anymore. And I guarantee that most people are going to want to help you. If they're that kind of person, especially, they're going to want to help you and they're going to not want to see you struggle. I have helped and trained quite a few people in my short lifetime, and I would not want to see anyone give up prematurely. I wouldn't want anybody to get depressed or get down, or maybe they've taken a couple weld tests and they failed them and just give up when you could see potential in them. And so not knowing everything that happens, has happened with a person that asked this question. I don't know where they are in life. I don't know where they are in their schooling either. But I would hope that you would keep going on. You'll watch videos like Welding Tips and Tricks YouTube and other channels as well. Reach out to those in the community and Instagram and whatnot, and try to get help from them. And again, you'll have to decide at some point in time if welding is for you, or if you need to move on to other things. But again, I just would encourage you at the end here, don't just give up prematurely. Not saying that the person that asked this question did or is, but just give it your best and try to lean on others that would try to help you. Hopefully your teacher, hopefully your instructor is the kind of instructor that's willing to help and can give you the attention that you need. And again, just remember, we're not always the best. We're not always the best welder in the room. In fact, 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, we're not the best welder. Sometimes we might think we are, but we're not. There's somebody that's always going to be better than you, somebody that's always going to stack the dimes better than you. Learn from that individual, and please, I would encourage you, do not give up. Don't quit. Thank you for listening to another Stubby episode.
Well, that's it for this week's Stubby episode. We really appreciate you listening. If you have a question you would like to hear answered here on the Stubby episodes, be sure to send them to weldingtipsandtrickspodcast@gmail.com and put Stubby in the subject line. And we'd also like to thank ckworldwide.com for sponsoring this Stubby episode. Until next week, have a great one.